This is a Sports Catastrophe production.
Hey there, hello, hello, it's Jeff Cutastrophe, and welcome to another Sports Catastrophe birthday boy. And the birthday for today, June the 3rd, is a baseball analyst who actually played baseball for 9 seasons and found a niche as a utility player. He became a TV baseball commentator and has done some stuff for different networks. His name is Steve Lyons, and he's now 63 years old. Steve Lyons was born in Tacoma, Washington, but grew up in Eugene, Oregon. He went to Oregon State on a baseball scholarship, and after his junior career, the Boston Red Sox in the 1981 draft decided to pick him 19th overall, which is like amazing. Compared to everyone else above him, only Mike Moore, Joe Carter, Kevin McReynolds, and Ron Darling were big. Mike Moore went number 1 to Seattle. Joe Carter went number 2 to the Cubs. Kevin McWilliams went number 6 to San Diego, and Ron Darling went number 9 to Texas. After that, it was just like putrid. But anyway, Steve Lyons would go through the farm system and finally get promoted in 1985. He had good speed on the bases and all that. He would make a debut with the Red Sox as a pinch runner. His first major league hit was off of Donnie Moore of the Angels. Steve Lyons would be Boston's regular center fielder, playing 133 games, hitting .264 with 5 home runs, 30 RBIs. And then he would play 59 games through late June, batting .250. Boston had seen enough. They decided to dump him off to the White Sox for Tom Seaver. Can you believe it? The Boston Red Sox had Tom Seaver for the 86 series for the season. Unfortunately, Boston left Seaver off the postseason roster against the Mets. That would have been amazing, but I think it was just for sentimental reasons. Although they could have pitched Seaver in any one of the Boston games. And the Lions would play 42 games for the White Sox and would be basically a major leaguer / minor leaguer, if you will. He did try everything. All that. Lyons actually played every defensive position during his time with the White Sox. And he did play 9 defensive positions in a single game. But that was in what they call the Windy City Classic, an exhibition between the Cubs and the White Sox. So he played every position. So, yeah, it's just amazing what he could do. So he played for the White Sox. And, of course, let's not forget that during that time with the White Sox, between 1986 and 1990, he actually tried to run out an infield hit off of Dan Petrie of the Tigers at Tiger Stadium. He beat it, and then trying to get the the dirt out of his pants. Forgot that he was on base and dropped his pants in front of all those fans. The ironic part was that, the play-by-play guy for the White Sox, Hawk Harrelson, actually ended up being paired up with Steve Lyons in the broadcast booth. Anyway, Boston decided to give him another chance and signed him with the 91 team. He did pretty well, batting .241 with 417 RBIs. He became a free agent, and Atlanta said, hey, let's take him. But after going 1 for 14 with an RBI, they're like, fuck that. You're done. And then he went to Montreal, played 16 games for the 92 Expos, went 3 for 13, and then got sold back to Boston by the Expos in June of 92. So the Expos sold him to Boston, playing 21 games for them. He played AAA. Then he bounced to the Cubs, who signed him up. And then he went back to Boston for May 1993, playing 28 games. His final game was on October 3rd, 1993. Parts of 5 seasons, he would play in 328 games with 10 home runs, 63 RBIs. Lyons' overall baseball numbers were back. MLB numbers. 252 with 19 home runs, 196 RBIs. Not really a superstar player. But it is what it is. He had a lot of eccentricities. Playing tic-tac-toe and hangman against opposing players during games. using spikes to mark the infield dirt. Anyway, it was just weird and all that. He did brain crack. So after his retirement, he became color analyst for Fox in '96, working in the pregame in the studio, and then would pair up with Tom Brenneman, calling many things, several division series and LCS telecasts for the network. Steve Lyons would be famously known for, in 2003, the Steve Bartman incident. Lyons was the color commentator for Brenneman. And Lyons says, in Chicago, here at Wrigley Field, fans throw opposing home runs onto the field. I'm surprised no one has thrown that fan on the field. Because Steve Lyons said some stuff about that fan getting in the way. And Bartman was not the original guy who had the ball. Someone else had the ball, but it deflected off him. Poor Bartman. Steve Lyons did apologize for his comments. However, Lyons' Fox career would end during Game 3 of the ALCS between the Tigers and the A's, when Lou Piniella was also in the booth alongside Brenneman and Lyons. Piniella used an analogy about finding a wallet and then spoke in Spanish. So anyway, Lyons said that I still can't find my wallet. I don't understand him and I don't want to sit close to him now. Unfortunately, Lyons was canned. And so he got fired. That meant that he couldn't broadcast that big Game 4 when Miguel Ordonez walked off the A's and got the Tigers to the World Series. Jose Mota was replaced. But Piniella said Lyons was just kidding and, wasn't bigoted. Brutal mistake. But anyway, Steve Lyons would bounce back and becoming color analyst for the Dodgers on Prime Ticket and KCAL, broadcasting alongside Charlie Steiner and Eric Collins. Of course, on those TV broadcasts outside the NL West, Vince Scully couldn't do many games anymore. Like, he was advancing in age. He would do Dodger home games, but the road games would be basically either Charlie Steiner or even Joe Davis. Anyway, yeah. The Dodgers still said that Lyons would be a commentator for their road games. And they gave him probationary guidelines. Fortunately, though, Lyons stuck around until 2013, and then he decided not to return to the Dodgers organization. He would be part of NESN for the Red Sox as a studio analyst and occasional game analyst. Unfortunately, though, he had been arrested for domestic battery in January, and Lyons had to take a leave of absence. But the misdemeanor charges were dropped because the police lost the photos taken of his girlfriend, who was the victim of it, leading to dismissal. He came back in 2018, becoming an in-studio analyst and fill-in color commentator, but left after 2021. Steve Lyons, for video game fans, will be huge because he was the color commentator in All-Star Baseball 2005 alongside Tom Brenneman, the game I played the crap out of for the PS2, and it was always nice to hear Steve Lyons' voice. And then Steve Lyons would be a commentator for MLB The Show. Unfortunately, Steve Lyons has had some issues in the broadcast booth. He maligned Sean Green, who was a Dodger, who was Jewish, for sitting on a game on Yom Kippur, saying that he's not even a practicing Jew. He didn't marry a Jewish girl, and from what I understand, he never had a bar mitzvah. The network would apologize for the comments, although Lyons never made an apology. And then, during an Angels-Yankees game in 2006, Lyons discussed Sal Fasano and the fact that he had to shave his mustache to accommodate the grooming code of Steinbrenner. Lyons, I think, was insulting he said Fasano's the type of guy who knows a guy that knows a guy. Kind of his Italian-American thing for the mafia. And then Lyons and Brenneman actually made fun of a 64-year-old Mets fan wearing a device over his eyes at a game during Game 2 of the NLDS between the Mets and Dodgers. Lyons saying, "He's got a digital camera stuck to his face." Unfortunately, the man turned out to be nearly blind and was wearing a magnifying device that helped him to see the game. Brenneman did apologize for the comments on air during Game 3 of this series. Lyons should have apologized too, but anyway. Anyway, he actually published a book called Psychoanalysis, with a foreword by the great Stephen King of his personal observations and stories about baseball. I think that it's kind of in the vein of the J. Johnstone books. But anyway, yeah, Steve Lyons, Psycho Killer, baby. He was a good color commentator. Don't you forget it. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.